I usually don't have a microphone in my living room, so, but welcome, and I want to thank everybody that made this possible, because Joseph, is a very special person. He's more than an astrologer, he is an intuit, and he's been that way since he's been a child. He can see the bigger picture, which I'm very interested in. So I'm not going to take up a lot of time talking. I want to thank him for, I'm grateful that he managed to get here, and I'm very grateful for all the help that we had in putting this together. So thank you.
Hi there. Thank you. Appreciate being here. Love all the smiling faces. And as Dee said, I'm a professional astrologer, but I'm also a psychic. Very intuitive. I've been like this my whole life. And ever since I was a kid, I could remember seeing things happen before they happen. How many of you have had those experiences? Great. Fantastic. This is a natural ability that everyone has, okay? And I'll discuss why that is. But today I'm just going to be talking about some of the astrology, what's actually happening, where we're going, all the possibilities of what the future holds. So, I'll talk for about an hour, hour and 15 minutes or so, and then I'll take questions after that, okay? So I'm going to ask you first for some questions. I'm going to ask you some questions first to see where the crowd is out, okay? And I know this is conscious, connecting consciousness, so many of you are already aware. So how many of you, by a show of hands, actually know what's really going on right now? I know, it's a silly question, right? Okay. So, how many of you, follow me on social media? I'm just curious. Okay, wonderful. I appreciate you guys. How many of you are able to see through so much more just in the last few years? Like you look at something or someone, you go, wow, they just look totally different to me. I can't resonate with them anymore. This is becoming more and more evident. So, basically, I'm going to tell you what I picked up on. All of the energy that was coming in, all the information was coming in. And the last question is, how many of you understand astrology? Okay, fantastic. There's the shirt, see? Anyway, so thank you, appreciate it. I've got two like this. So, but anyway, very important to understand. And so I'm going to just cover some of the basics. I'll start from the beginning and fast forward to today. If you've been following me on social media, you know what I've been talking about every month for the last couple of years, about how society is changing, how the politics is changing, and I will not be talking politics, so, okay? So, as I said, as a kid, I would always have these premonitions from time to time, and I grew up in a traditional Catholic family, and they didn't believe in any of that stuff, but I just kept seeing things. I remember one time sitting there, I went into the kitchen, I'm 12 years old, and I sit down at the table and I'm looking out the window, and all of a sudden I have this vision of me standing in front of hundreds of people talking, okay? Now, at 12 years old, I don't know how many people have that kind of vision, but I was like, what the hell am I seeing? What is this? And that's where it really started. And then, of course, all the other silly stuff with phone calls that I knew who was on the phone or who was going to call and all that other stuff. So it's not a big deal. But growing up, and I like to say, I came out of the womb asking questions. How many of you have done that? I'm like, who am I? Where am I? What the hell is this crazy family I'm in? Why are they screaming all the time? It's just one of these things like, what? I began to question everything. So I started studying psychology. I started studying human behavior. I started trying to get answers. But because of where I grew up and the family I grew up in, I couldn't find the answers I was looking for. So later on in life, I started studying even deeper about some of the religions and what they were all talking about and so on. Not until I got into my late 20s that I started investigating all the metaphysical stuff. And I used to think it was all BS. Astrology, what the? Some fairy somewhere is writing these horoscopes and they're making it up. It's like, what is this stuff? Why are we talking about planets and so on and so forth? So it didn't make any sense at that time. But I continued to study it. I wanted to know where this came from, astrology in particular. So I began to realize, wait a minute, these ancient cultures understood something. They understood cycles and patterns. And that's what astrology is. They associated a lot of the myths and the story the stories to the movements of the planets. And they began to realize the cycles. Can you see that? You know, I mean, everyone here has a birthday, right? We all know our birth signs, but have you really dug into it and discovered what it really means to you? You see? And it's all really tied into the understanding of how the universe works, which I've also delved into some quantum physics and, you know, understanding the science behind it. And by the way, I love science and I love spirituality, right? I mean, they go hand in hand. They're not separate, and they never should be. So here we are, you know, I'm getting all this information, and I dug deep into the metaphysical stuff, and I said, oh my God, it was like the light bulb went on. This makes so much sense to me. The numerology, the astrology, the symbolism. It's a symbolic language for understanding energy. Do we get that? Do we see that? By tracking the planets, or numerology, which is fantastic, it's quantum physics, it's mathematical equations, we begin to see patterns in nature. All right? Now here's an important question. How many of you know about sacred geometry? Oh, I love it. That's great. Fantastic, because that is the ultimate language of light. You see, everything is made up of light and sound. And we know this from physics, we know this from the ancient cultures. Everything is light and sound. Would we agree on that? And I know it's kind of silly to ask, but everything is made up of light and sound. So at that moment back then, when I discovered all of this, the vibration of the planets, the numerology, the astrology, the symbolism that constantly kept coming in. You know, I'm sure many of you have vivid dreams. You know, you have premonitions, you feel things, you're getting messages, or leaving your body and astral projecting to other places. I used to love those things. I would just love to go to sleep at night because I'm astral projecting to different places. And I began guiding that astral projection. So the reason it's important is because this is laying the foundation for what is actually happening to society today. Now, I'm sure many of you were brought up in a religion or, you know, have a background and family tries to give you a foundation of what to believe in, right? But think about this for a second. From the moment we're born, we're being labeled. We're put in boxes, correct? You're a boy, you're a girl. Today we're not sure, but you're a boy or a girl, you know. And then you're indoctrinated into a mindset, a religion, or your family wants the best for you, so they want you to go to a certain school. They want you to be in a certain way. So these boxes keep compartmentalizing us into a certain belief system. Do we not see that today? Right? And so we reach a certain point in our lives, maybe in our 30s, 40s, or 50s, whatever it is, we begin to go, wait a minute. There's got to be more to life than me just going to work and I got these 3 degrees and, you know, doing the same thing over and over again. And religions are not really giving me any answers. That's this group here. But fortunately, there's millions of other people that are doing the same thing right now that are starting to realize that everything that we've been taught or believe is not true. It's exaggerated or misinterpreted, or even worse, it's literally telling us how to think. Do we not see that today? Okay? And I know many of you know who Simon Parks is. Obviously, this is his group. And he's done a great job of showing people what's really going on. So I've already done presentations about this stuff because back in 2008 and 2009, the visions that were coming in were so clear. How many of you around that time frame, 2008, 2009, it's a very important time frame, 2008, 2009, began getting messages or information that just didn't make any sense? Okay? In astrology, the planet of Pluto. How many of you know about Pluto? Okay, not the Disney character. Okay? But Pluto, the planet, went into the sign of Capricorn, the sign of structure, corporations, religions. Any organization that controls is associated with Capricorn. Okay? So how many Capricorns here? 1. Okay, we know, they know what I'm talking about. They like structure and they're very much like organization and, you know, kind of controlling things, and that's their gifts, one of their gifts. But When now Pluto, how many Scorpios here? All right. So Scorpios are the symbol associated with death and rebirth or transformation. Okay, so Scorpio people are usually like psychologists, or they're constantly helping people evolve in some way. Does that make sense? Everyone comes to you guys for advice, or or they want your opinion on something, right? It's just a natural. So this planet of Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. And we astrologers are going, okay, there goes the economy. There goes, governments. There goes all these power structures that are going to begin to become transformed. So what happened in 2008? How many of you remember the bailouts that Wall Street received? We were like, yep, there's the beginning of it. You see? Because the way Pluto works is it enters a sign, it shows you how it's going to start working, and then over a period of time begins to transform that area. Make sense? Symbolically. Now we fast forward to today. Now Pluto is still in Capricorn, and it will be until January 2024. How many of you could honestly look at corporations, governments, and religious institutions and not see those places being transformed right before our eyes? Right? And what is actually happening? These systems are dying. They're going out. They're finished. They're done. They're not coming back because we're entering an age. Now, how many Aquarians here? The Aquarian age is beginning officially. Some astrologers say it's already started, but it's starting with Pluto going into Aquarius, the sign of humanity. The sign of doing things in a different way. The sign of not following the rules. The rebel is all under the Aquarian energy. You see? So now you have the planet of power and destruction going into the planet of rebelliousness, and I'm not doing it the same way anymore. Do we not see what the next few years is going to be? And matter of fact, it's going to be 20 years. Pluto is going to enter Aquarius for the next 20 years. Now, just to give you an example, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was right after the country became a country, after 1776. I believe it was 1790 and on. There was a lot of skirmish. There was a lot of battles that were being, and the states were trying to figure out where they belong and so on and so forth. The same is going to occur again in the United States. And this is not anything bad. It's just each state, as you could see now, is going to begin to say, hey, we're a sovereign nation. We're going to have to break away from this mindset. So we are going to see, one of the things I did see is states continuing to divide. Like, we don't want to be a part of this federal government. We don't want to be a part of this system. And so for the next couple of years, I'm seeing a transition occurring between the financial system, and I'll talk about that too. We all know there's a new financial system coming, right? It's either going to be digital, it's going to be currency backed by, gold or silver or something, okay? So I was shown that too, and I follow a lot of this stuff that's going on. So I listen to Simon, I listen to everyone. I say to people, listen to everything. Don't believe a word, but listen to everything and see if your consciousness is telling you if it makes sense to you. You see, because your consciousness knows. It's not your head, it's your spirit, it's your consciousness, and I'll get into that too. So just to give you a little upfront, over the next few years, we will continue to see changes to society, to groups, to organizations, to corporations, to the financial system. The only reason the financial system hasn't been implemented first is because it is so deeply embedded around the world in the central banks and people's investments and their retirement accounts and so on. Could you imagine if we went to a new digital currency tomorrow? We just flip the switch and go, okay, we're all digital. Everyone would be going, where's my money? What's happening? What's going to happen to my funds? It'll be chaos. So unfortunately, this is going to be a slow rollout into a new financial system, which will probably involve technology. Now, I'm a big advocate of technology, but as long as it's fair technology that is not going to be controlled or manipulated by the same people, okay? And it has to be backed by something. Gold, silver, some resource that, and this has already been put in place. How many of you know what the BRICS nations are? They already have a gold-backed currency, folks. 161 countries already signed up for it. As a matter of fact, how many of you know that Texas wants to join the BRICS nations? Do you see what I'm saying? We're going to have states that are going to say, screw the federal government, let's go straight to the source of the funding. You see? And this is the trend. And I've been talking about this for a while, and we could see that already evolving. It's going in that direction, okay? So that's the foundation from which we're working from. And it's confusing because so many people are like, what's going on? Why is the economy changing? Why can't why the stores have less on the shelves? Or, the changes that we could physically see. Why are gas prices going through the roof? We could physically see these changes, okay? So that's the physical side of it. Now I want to get to this spiritual side, which is kind of my expertise, which I really enjoy. And one of the things that I discovered and some of the messages I started to receive is, why is this change happening? What's causing this change? Okay, why all of a sudden in the last 3 years our intuition has gone through the roof, or we're able to see through things or people or situations? Why? And it all comes down to this. Back in 2008, 2009, I started getting visions and dreams of energy coming in from space. Waves of blue and white energy coming in through space. And it was coming through the galactic center. How many of you know what the galactic center is? Okay. That galactic center is a black hole. It's a torus field, meaning it goes within itself and it spirals in and out. And it pulls energy in, but it also sends energy out. That's where I was shown the energy is coming from. Parts of space that are supercharged photon light, okay? It was bombarding us, it was coming in. Something was pulling it into our atmosphere, and something was driving this energy towards us. And so what was beginning to happen was the energy of the Earth, the magnetic field of the Earth, was starting to shift. I have friends who are airline pilots, and they said, we've had to calibrate our instruments more times in the last few years because magnetic north would keep moving. How many of you know that? So we are actually witnessing something affecting the Earth's magnetic fields, and it's affecting the other planets because other countries have done studies that the temperature levels were going up on these other planets. So when we're talking about global warming, okay, it's not necessarily something we're doing. It's a cycle that is affecting all of us, including the planet. You see? I'm not saying we don't destroy the environment, but that's all being done on purpose as well. The dark ones love destroying environments and so on. But the fact is, it is actually happening because it's a cycle. If you study real history, you will see that this Earth has gone through many floods, many earthquakes, devastating earthquakes, many changes to the actual physical Earth itself. And these are natural. Are we okay? Maybe the battery went dead? No? It's 4 bars? Okay. It seems to be working. Want me to drop it? No, I'm just kidding. I was so getting used to this one. I like this one. It's got the nice blue color on it. Let's try that. Okay. So we know that there's physical changes happening to the Earth. Literally physical changes. How many of you noticed the strange weather patterns? Huh? Is this normal? No, it's not. So what is occurring, and again, this is the science side of it, but also the intuition side, because I tune into all of this stuff as well, and I see the astrology. Because we are being bombarded by higher radiation and energy coming from the space, it has literally basically eroded the magnetic field of the Earth. There are parts of it that have holes in it now. Okay, it's not something we've done. It's what the energy is doing and what the sun is doing. It is affecting the magnetic field. So what is happening is all of this energy is pouring into the ionosphere of the Earth. Okay? How many of you have seen those weird, strange weather patterns where you see the giant sprites and the giant lightning going across the sky? It's weird because the ionosphere has been supercharged. There's photon light there, you see? And as the Earth shifts and turns, and then there's the solar flares bombarding us, you know, and we're going into what's called solar maximum. Every 12 years or so, we go into higher cycles of energy. So this is causing a lot of the changes, not just on the physical planet, but it's affecting us. Are we not affected by the sunlight? Are we not affected by the magnetic fields of the Earth? Do you not see that? So what is actually happening to society is there's a vibrational shift occurring, where the energy is coming in and it's of a higher frequency, it's bombarding the ionosphere, and the Earth's tilt and magnetic tilt keeps tilting, and it's throwing us off. How many of you had trouble sleeping? Eating habits that are erratic and weird, or cravings and stuff like that. Moodiness, emotions. Yeah. We are going, it's like we're like a ping pong ball being slapped around by the forces of the universe and the Earth. You see? It's a vibrational shift. But there is a positive stuff to all this. Greater psychic ability. How many of you are having greater psychic abilities? You see? How many of you had, and I've had this myself, euphoric moments where you just feel, my God, this is great. Like you're on a drug or something, right? All right? I mean, this is the side effect of all this increased energy that's coming in. So on the one hand, the spiritual community is going, it's a great awakening, a great awakening. Yes, it is the great awakening. But what are we awakening to? Right? We're awakening to the fact, and I say this all the time, and I have cards, we are spiritual beings in a physical suit having a human experience. Do we not see that? We are not our bodies. We are not our minds. We are not our feelings. We're not our titles. We are some form of energy that's powering this suit. Make sense? How many of you have gone down the rabbit hole? I mean, pretty damn deep. Okay? You begin to realize this after a while, and this energy is helping us. It's activating more the DNA. It's giving us greater sight, more visions, because we are not bound by these suits. Our consciousness is not bound by this suit. It has to abide to the laws of physics, yes, but it's not bound by this suit. Now I'm going to ask you a silly question. Where do you guys see me right now? Anybody else? Kind of. No, you see me inside your head. Think about that for a second. The light is reflecting on me. The forces of the universe are holding the molecules in place in my body. You see that in your eyes, which gets reflected in the back of your cornea, and your brain is instantly decoding what I look like. Does that make sense? Or my voice is vibrating right now, and it's going across the air into your eardrums, and your brain is instantly decoding and deciphering what it sounds like. Folks, nothing here is real. How's that? Does that make sense? Will that shock a lot of people? Especially folks that are brought up in a religious organization or, to understand certain things. This is what's happening to the world right now. The truth is coming out. The information about reality, the information about who we are is all coming out. We're leading the way. Everyone here is leading the way because you're open to understanding what reality really is. And you're listening to people like me or others or Simon Parks or wherever it is. It doesn't matter. The information will come, but you have to be open to it. So we're beginning to understand the nature of reality. That nothing, and it's mind-boggling because when I first understood that, I'm like, what? Nothing is real? You mean when I touch something, these are just molecules that are basically forming this item, and my brain is instantly decoding what it looks like? Yes. So everything is a vibration, including your soul. Everything is a vibration. Now, I've gone a step beyond that and discovered that the moment you're born, you are coming in on a certain timeline or a certain frequency. You understand? And when you understand that frequency, you begin to understand your whole reality. For instance, if you're born under a certain sign, okay? Let's say if you're born under the sign of Libra. Look at the symbol of Libra. You're a Libra? Anybody else? Libra? Anybody? Fantastic. There's a solar eclipse happening in Libra today. So, the sign of Libra. Let's look at the symbolism. I'll give you an example. It's the sign of the scales. What does the scales represent? Balance, marriage, justice, fairness, right? So it's suggesting that the moment you're born, you're being influenced by that cycle or that pattern or that energy. Okay, remember, everything's energy. And you're going to view the world through that tunnel, through that vision. You see? See how it works? And so Libra, being marriage sign, oriented, is all about partnerships and relationships. It's no mistake that I decided to do it on this day of all days. Solar eclipse in Libra. I'm meeting a bunch of new people, right? You're hearing me talk for the first time. And more than likely, this video will reach millions of people. You see? It's how it works. When you understand the cycles and the patterns, you begin to either flow with it or you reject it. What I've discovered in my 40-plus years of studying human nature is that we're here for two reasons in this physical reality. And remember, we're beyond this physical reality, but right now, we're here for two reasons. To make choices and to have experiences. Do you see that? That's all we're here to do. Make choices, have experiences. The source, whatever the source is, whatever name you want to give it, I don't care, gives us its power. Matter of fact, all of our DNA is part of the source. Every molecule, every atom in our body is associated with the source. It's the same vibration. The planets are vibrating at a certain frequency. Our cells are vibrating at a certain frequency. Okay? But we're here to make choices and have experiences. Because, and I want you to think about this, because this is what I tell my clients these days, because I don't want to waste any more time, is that you must understand who you are, first off. You are not your body, you're not your mind, you're the spirit or this energy in this suit making experiences, having experiences. And that the fact is, give me a second here, I just lost the train of thought. Hate when that happens, those senior moments. But it was about making choices. And yeah, everything vibrates. Hold on, there was a, what's that? No, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. I hate when that happens. It happened last night. We were having dinner. But then it came back. By the way, that is a side effect to all this increased energy, is not being able to focus on the small little details. How many of you feel like you're losing your marbles at times? Right. And here it is, perfect example. Okay? Because the vibration is so high and we're not paying attention to the small details as easily. You see? Because the energy it not just affects our heart, that's the main part of the body that picks up a lot of the energy, but our minds also. I mean, it all works in one vibrational, energy field. Oh, I remember the thought. See, it came back. All right. So I tell all my clients these days, remember this. Since you're only here temporarily for a period of time, making choices, having experiences, once you leave the suit, you're just flying around in some sort of blissful consciousness without a form. You can't smell, you can't touch, you can't taste, you can't have ice cream, you can't do anything, right? You can't pick up the bottle, you can't do anything. You're just basically floating around, happy. Hey, yeah, great, let's go look at some more colors and go over here, And that's what you're doing. But while you're here in this physical body, even though it's painful at times, well, I'm not going to lie, it's discomforting, it's you're being confined and so on and so forth, you don't have a form. But here we have a form. So we could touch, taste, smell, do all the things we need to do. But think about this even more, and I said this to Dee last night. how lucky are we that we all found bodies to come into? Right? And how many millions of other souls are out there going, are they going to have sex tonight? Are we going to be able to get in there? Right? I think that family looks good. The uncle's crazy, but we'll get in there anyway. You see what I'm saying? And so we are so fortunate to be able to be here at this moment in time for various reasons, but primarily because we were able to follow the family lineage, you know, that we come through a long family lineage, and we were able to get into a physical suit to have this experience. Then when we leave this physical suit, we have a choice. Now, how many of you read the book? It was a fabulous book. I read it years ago. The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. She read it. Okay. It is a fabulous book. It's about a brother and sister. The brother was a drug addict and wasn't a nice person, and he wound up dying. But the two were very close, the brother and sister. And she kept having dreams and visions of her brother, and he was trying to communicate with her. So she goes, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. She even went to a psychologist, and, you know, you're not losing your mind, so and so on. So she decided to write a book. And he began to channel information through her that she never knew. He would tell her to go to places to find things that he left. How would she know that? And she would find them. You see what I'm saying? So this book had a lot of credibility to it, in my opinion. But one of the things that he did in this book, which was fabulous, he described the other realms of consciousness and where he was and what he was exploring today and where he was going. So every so many weeks or so, she would sit down and start channeling this information from him. And it's a very good book, very revealing about dimensions and realities beyond this physical world. You see? The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. Fingers, yeah, like a criminal, you know. And he was. Katie's, I think it's Katie something. I forgot. You can look it up on your cell phones. Very popular book, New York Times bestseller. Fabulous. It was an easy read. I sat down, read the whole damn book. It was really easy. So, but it really captured the essence of these other realms of consciousness, you see. So we are entering a time where we're leaving behind the old ways of thinking and viewing the world. Especially for this group, because you guys already get it. You already understand. You see, the soul knows. The soul is directing us. It's just the mind and the fear that get in the way when making decisions or wanting to explore something. Make sense? Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. No, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this enough. And right away, the walls go up. The limitations, boom, get blocked in the way. Instead, imagine walking around going, I'm here to experience what I want to experience. I'm going to go try new things. I'm going to meet new people. I'm going to go to new places. I'm going to go see where it takes me. I'm curious about this. I'm going to go do that. I'm curious about that. I'm going to go do that. Big difference, you see? So basically, what I've discovered over the years is that I'm the only one controlling this suit. I can't control your suit. I can't control your suit, right? I'm the only one that can control my own suit. And it starts with understanding who you are and the choices you make. Well, we've all gotten to this point in our lives, and we're all sitting here because we all made choices. Choices and experiences. Choices and experiences, right? And here we are. So the bigger question becomes now, what kind of new experiences do I want to have in this coming era of technology, spirituality, understanding new systems, like financial systems, technology beyond our comprehension, quantum computing, all of this stuff is going to continue to open up to us over the coming years. So we're going to have to understand. But the big question is, do we want technology to control us, or do we control technology? Because I don't know about you guys, and again, I know you guys are very well aware. How many of you understand that there seems to be an artificial intelligence or matrix that's controlling everything? And there are some dark ones that are manipulating that technology to control humanity. This is where it gets a little kooky for too many people. Oh, he's a conspiracy nut. Oh, he's a tinfoil hat nut job, you know. But this is what all the evidence is there there, right in front of your eyes. I've studied some of the ancient texts. I've studied some of these religions, and they all reference extraterrestrials from other places or dimensions that have manipulated man, that have flying around in discs, that were 20 to 35 feet tall. How many of you know about the giants? The Nephilim, okay? So, I mean, all of this is there, right there. But it's been, again, omitted, misinterpreted. You know, the organizations that control it all have stopped humanity from understanding this because they can't handle it. I don't think they could. Imagine this within a year or two. All religion ceases to exist, right? What's going to happen to humanity? You see, they've based their belief systems in a magical God somewhere or some being somewhere, right? Again, taking us further and further away from the truth of who we are. You see? So this could be very destructive to the consciousness of the average person. That, what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance. Oh, no, I'm not believing that. No, my God is this or that belief system. It'll immediately destroy their belief systems, and they'll go into some sort of psychosis. And by the way, unfortunately, I do see that coming. Many people will lose their sense of reality. We already see it. How many people do you know that smoke tons of pot or take all kinds of medication or drink heavily? Oh, the poor fentanyl people. You know, they're all, taking all that fentanyl and they're standing there and they don't fall. They're escaping reality. Life has become too painful for them. Do you not see that? You see what I'm saying? There's going to be a part of society that, unfortunately is going to embrace that because that's their path. That's what they chose. That's the way they're going. But then there's all of us and millions of us, Team Light, okay? Team Light. By the way, this is my friend Rion's hat, and he has teamlight.org or teamlight.com or something like that. He's a great guy. He's out of Sedona as well. He gave me the hat one day. I said, great, I want that hat. So, but we're part of a team that's to help humanity get beyond these limitations of who we think we are. You see? And that's the name of the game. Because, like I said, with the astrology, Pluto going into Aquarius, it's humanity, Aquarius, Pluto transforming humanity in some way. That's what's happening. Now, there are other things that I was shown that I need to prepare for, we need to prepare for. And this was some of the stuff that, it's not as pretty, it's not as exciting, but at least you know, okay? And so in 2008, 2009, I remember this so clearly. I was in my kitchen, and I hear, prepare for the future. Humanity's going to change. The earth is going to change. So I'm like, okay, earth is changing. And then I would tune into it. I would tune into it over the years. I would tune into, what do you mean by change? What is coming? What is happening? And I began to see what was coming and happening. And I've been able to, fortunately, to predict certain things, like 1 or 2 videos back on my YouTube channel. I predicted there were going to be some more storms, and I saw San Diego being one. And what happened last month? We have a storm of some kind? What was that, a hurricane, or I don't know what it was. You had something come through here, through Southern California, that brought in a lot of torrential rain. I saw that. I saw a volcano erupting in South America before it actually happened. I saw Mount Etna in Italy erupting, and they had some rumbles too. So what I was shown was the earth is going to continue to change, and we can't stop it. Volcanoes, you can't stop. Earthquakes. I didn't see a lot of earthquakes, but there was a lot of issues with water coming. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I saw the coastlines, just water rising on the coastlines. Not out of like, oh my God, the end of the world type thing. I just saw the water coming closer to the shores, and it was actually going onto the streets, you see? But I was also shown the time frames. And I'll share this with you guys. It was August of 2027 and August and September of 2028, where there seems to have been more activity with the ocean or the water. And again, a natural cycle, Earth is tilting, you're going to get more water coming onto the coastlines. And so the entire West Coast from, Seattle, Washington, all the way down to South America, I was shown, that the levels of the ocean would continue to rise about a foot or so. Okay, not devastating, not end of the world stuff, but it would, it would show that the Earth was beginning to change. And I'm not the only one making these predictions, because there's many others that have seen the same thing. That there's no way of avoiding some of these changes that are coming. So just, think about it. If it starts to happen, and you got the time frame now, for the United States. Other parts of the country, other parts of the world, it's a little tougher for them. Like if you live in Sicily and the volcano goes off, that could be a little rough for them, So, but Earth changes is one of the things I was shown. Okay, parts of Florida will have more water on it, and but it was mostly the coastlines. Okay, so that was one of the things I was like, oh boy, here we go. That's going to be interesting. The other thing was the strange weather was going to continue, the lightning storms. I remember last year in Sedona, I was still in Sedona, and we had 12 inches of snow with lightning. How many, do you remember? I don't know if you guys were there. We had 12 inches of snow, and it was lightning out, thunder and lightning. I was like, what the hell is this? It was the weirdest thing, because you don't normally have lightning and storms with snow. I was like, wow, this is really strange. And then right there, again, another confirmation of strange weather patterns. How many of you have seen those weird clouds that are going on too? The spiral clouds, or weird anomaly clouds. You see, what I tuned into this. A lot of the chemtrails that they've been spraying, there's a reason for it. And when I got that answer, I was shocked, because they're actually trying to slow the frequency or the energy or the light coming in from coming in and destroying power plants, cell towers, and so on. So they're actually doing this to try and stop or slow down the energy from coming in and destroying communities. Does that make sense? Okay? The side effect is, it's going into the water, unfortunately it's landing on the soil and so on and so forth, but they have to use these metals in order to block whatever energy's coming in. And I know all about the manipulation of frequency. We're very well aware of it. The whole 5G thing and HARP and all that other nonsense. I'm very well aware of it. I'm sure many of you are, right? Correct? So we know that's been going on. But these are part of the changes. It's like they know this cycle is coming, and they're trying to slow it down, because think about this for a second. Like I said with the money thing. Could you imagine if we have major storms that take out power grids, or systems, cell phone towers, electricity? How much chaos would that cause? Right? I don't know how many of you remember the gas shortages of the 70s, and then, anytime that happens, within 3 or 4 days, there are people at each other's throats, right? I witnessed this firsthand. I was in New York when Sandy hit New York. Oh, this was, I don't know, what is it, 2008 or something, whatever it was. I was there, and I witnessed this firsthand. All the gas stations had police officers because people were getting into fights over gas. Okay, so again, I'm just saying, could you imagine if we have something so devastating that people would just be chaotic? Now, the good guys, Simon Parks and the so-called white hats, I say white hats because I'm very skeptical of all of that stuff, I just know too much. It's just, like, I don't know, But I could get into the extraterrestrial stuff, and maybe I will. We'll see. But they cannot implement these changes too quickly because of several reasons. It would cause too much devastation. People will have trouble adjusting to it. I think there's a phone going off. So everything is being planned accordingly within a time frame. But there's a big but here. What I see coming in the next year, just in the next year, from October to October of 2023, and I will be talking about it in videos, my monthly videos, there's an alignment coming up on October 23rd, 2024, that is pretty big, okay? And it has a lot to do with the 4 outer planets that are going to be behind the Earth. Now, the last time this happened, from what I gather, is like 79 AD, all right? And we are going to be here in front of the sun, with nothing or no planets helping us or blocking any of the energy. And these 4 planets will be sitting back out here, pulling on the sun's magnetic field. Okay? Now, why is this important? Why do I bring this up? Because there is a possibility of more light coming in or more energy coming in at that time. We don't know for sure. All I know is in 2009, the vision was very clear. It said, and I saw it in a dream, the end of 2024 into 2025, there seems to be a big change that's coming in. And I'll describe to you what I saw, okay? And this is where we get into the extraterrestrial stuff. I looked up and I was looking around and everyone was just standing in awe looking at the sky, looking at what was in the sky. And I'm like, wow, this is really weird. So I decided to look up too. And what do I see? Hundreds of spacecraft. Okay? And they were just hovering there. I was like, what the hell am I seeing? Could be a dream or whatever, but it literally showed me 2024, 2025, end of 2025. One of the things that Pluto in Aquarius is going to reveal is all the extraterrestrial activity on this planet. How many of you know a lot about extraterrestrials? How many of you realize you are an extraterrestrial? Okay? Our soul is not from this world, right? When we connect with the source, it's back onto these other realms of consciousness. We're all extraterrestrials. We're all hybrids. Whoever these beings are, people, whatever name you want to call them, they've had their hand literally in us and literally messing around with the DNA. So this vision was so clear and so vivid. I was like, whoa, this is really weird. So when I came across this alignment that's occurring in October 23rd, all the way through April the 8th, this time frame is going to be very important for some reason. And it has to do with energy. It may have to do with extraterrestrial craft. By the way, they're all up there right now. You just can't see them. There is a video, and I don't even know if it's on YouTube anymore. It's from the space shuttle. It's called the tether line UFOs. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was like 1990 or something like that. They had a camera mounted at the back of the space shuttle, and it was looking out behind it. And the tether line that was attached to the space shuttle had broken off, and it had gone into space. And it was an infrared camera. So they have this camera, and all of a sudden you see all these discs show up. All you see is like a round disc show up, and they're all different sizes, and there are hundreds of them. And they're not stars, they're not planets. You clearly see that there's something that is out there that is paying attention to this, this tether line. I mean, that was amazing to watch that. And if you could still find it, it's a NASA UFO tether line or something along those lines. And it might still be out there. But then again, with the algorithm being controlled so much, I have to be careful what I say on YouTube now. It's ridiculous. They actually, I said something about Ukraine, and YouTube automatically sent something to me, and I was like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. And I wasn't for or against, I just mentioned them, and anyway, it was stupid. So anyway, but this is what's happening. There's a great awakening occurring for those of us that are paying attention. Then the old system is dying. It has to. It was all built on lies. Every bit of it. The control, the money system, the religions, the organizations, they're all going to go away. We are not going to have these organizations in 40 years, 50 years from now. We won't. It's not going to happen. We'll have new systems, that'll be developed. But I think because of the Aquarius energy, we'll all be wanting to help each other in some way, because we'll have that realization of who we really are. I mean, how can you, once you know you're a spiritual being having a human experience, look at another spiritual being and want to harm them or want to do anything malevolent to them or bad to them, Or would you rather just want to help them? Hey, how can I help you? Oh, we're interacting now? Okay. What kind of experiences are we having here? You see? So it's a totally different mindset. But unfortunately, a lot of the manipulators and controllers are not going to go easily. They're going to go kicking and screaming. And that's part of, unfortunately, the side effect of what we're seeing in some of these cities and some of the stuff going around, around the world, like in Europe and so on, because they've always fed off of negative energy. I think Simon talked about that too, And so you and I and everyone here and anyone that reaches us in cyberspace there, you're part of Team Light. You're here to make a difference, to raise the vibration, if you will, to bring awareness to who we really are. You see, that's the game plan. So now you know, that's our game plan, guys, is to keep the vibration as high as possible and realize that everything has the energy of the source within it and is having their own experience. You see? The more we get to that point, the more we all raise the consciousness to that level, do you think we're going to have any wars anymore? Do you think we're going to be fighting over things anymore? No. No, there won't be any of that stuff. There'll be, how can I help you? What can I do for you? What kind of experiences are you having? It'll be a different mindset. And it's coming. It's going to happen. But first, we have to go through a little bit of an adjustment period. And that's what these next few years are about. It's an adjustment from the old ways of thinking to new systems, new ways of looking at the world, you see? And then, of course, we have to get through the physical changes of the earth. That we can't stop. And why is that important? Because, let's face it, if the sun is interrupted in some way, what's that going to do to our crops? Right? Food supplies. How many of you noticed that the water is becoming an issue, like shortage of water or talks about water? Especially in the Southwest. We have issues with water. But, depending on if we get more rain or less rain or something like that, watch the weather. That was one of the things I was shown, to pay attention to the weather. If you want to know what's going on, tune into it yourself. By the way, this is what I do. I literally, before I go to sleep at night, I'll say, and by the way, guys, tonight is one of the best nights to do it because of the solar eclipse. Say, universe, higher consciousness, whatever you believe in, doesn't matter. Show me the near future and what's important to me. Show me what I need to see. You see? So every new moon gives you that opportunity, but a solar eclipse is much more powerful. So up to the next year, this energy will be in effect. You see? By you asking a specific question, the source will bring you a specific answer. That's how it works. The source is you, you are the source. So you start vibrating out a certain question, it will bring you a certain answer. That's the little secret that most people don't understand. They would rather pray to a god or a statue or, something outside of themselves. They don't realize they have the power. You see? And you guys already know this. I know I'm preaching to the choir, literally in the church. but anyway, it's a good reminder for us to remember who we really are, what we're here to do, and what these changes are that are coming to society. And they're already there. Now, one of the things I do see coming, and this was again another vision, a deep meditation. Technology coming from space with the satellites, they already have that. Elon Musk and all these so-called white hats are already working on that. The military intelligence is already working on that stuff. I've already mentioned that in my videos. So we're going to have some new form of communication devices or probably the whole banking system and the quantum financial system. And I know about Nisara Jasara, and I'm not putting my hopes in there. Oh God, yes, they're going to give us money. Great. No, I'm not buying into any of that until we see who's running the show. Okay? So this is going to be a bit of a challenge because this has never happened before, guys. Where we have technology and we're going through this massive transformation. How are we going to use this new technology? How are we going to implement all these changes? How is society going to react to it? This is what all the extraterrestrials are wondering about right now. They're just sitting there watching the show. They got their popcorn out, and they're going, okay, all right, they're getting crazier down there, you know? So they're watching everything because it's all about free will. The one thing that there's a law in the universe about free will. You do not interfere with other people's free will, no matter who you are, what you are. Of course, the dark ones don't really care about that, and they, you know, continue to sway people in their direction. But there's that free will. And so they want to see us, see what we're going to do with this increased frequency, these changes they're going to implement in society, how the earth is going to change, how are they going to be able to, you know, acclimate to it, or, you know. And we're a very resourceful group, right? Look at everything we've created in just 100 years. You know, technology, information, cell phones, wireless mics, whatever, you name it. Understand a greater understanding. So now we're taking this understanding to another level, quantum level. How many of you understand we are multidimensional beings? This is just the 3D physical world. When you go to sleep, you're tapping into the 4D world, sometimes the 5D world, which is non-physical, which makes no sense, you see? But then you're running into possibilities. And anybody study quantum physics here? We know about possibilities. Everything's a possibility, you know, because there's just giant quantum soup of energy. That's all there is. And once you go outside the physical realm, you enter this crazy world of quantum physics. You see, and I think your son is a physicist, so you would know. But anyway, my point being is we're entering part of that realm of the unknown, where everything is a possibility. So what we're here to do, and that's why I'm doing what I do, is to help as many people remember who they are and change things to accommodate the new way of looking at the world, you see? And there are millions of us out there doing this. It's not just one or two people. I mean, I'm sure you guys know who David Icke is. This man is now focusing all of his attention on consciousness, just like Simon Parkes is, and many others. Why? Because that gets us to the next level faster than worry about what the cabal is going to do, and that one's going to do, and this one's going to do. Make sense? You're wasting your time on them. And I've decided to do the same thing this year. I don't want to watch any more news. I don't want to listen to politicians. I don't want to listen to, you know, any of them, you know. But the society is changing because it has to change, you know. And so Mr. Trump is a perfect example of change. Whether you like him or you don't, doesn't matter. I don't care. He's been brought in to change something. You see? That's all he's here to do. And so I've also been shown that he more than likely will not be president. He will set up a new system. They're going to set up a new system that will bypass left and right, Democrat, Republican. It's going to be completely different. So when we talk about Pluto and Aquarius, think outside the box, because this is like nothing we've ever experienced before. It's not the known anymore. You see? It's sometimes weird. It sometimes makes no sense. But our job is to comprehend it, to get to a level of understanding ourselves and you know, others. Now, one of the other things that I do see coming, smaller communities. Because Aquarius is about community mindset, and you guys can look this all up. Aquarius is about communities, you know, getting together, marketing, sharing ideas, and so on and so forth. We're going to see a lot more smaller communities develop. This is why everyone's moving out of the big cities and going to smaller towns, you know, because the noise has gotten so loud in their current environments that they want to go back to nature or back to a smaller mindset with the community. So this entire year, I've been on my RV, traveling throughout the country, going to parks and different places, and just interacting with a lot of people. I wanted to get a feel or a vibe for what is going on in the country, you know? And so I'm getting a good sense of what's actually happening and tuning into it, you know? So this is going to be very important. Smaller communities, self-sufficiency, you know, this is the trend. It seems to be going in that direction. And it only makes sense because the closer you are to nature, the closer you are to the source within yourself, right? I mean, you cannot walk through a forest and not feel something. I mean, I love it. I go out there as much as I can, especially the water. I spent a lot of time this summer on the water, in the water. And I was like in heaven. No cell phone, no nothing. I was just, this is great. And what I would do is, and this is my suggestion, whenever you're in nature, whether it's the woods, the water, fresh air, hiking, whatever it is, align yourself with the energy within you. You're not worshiping nature, you're getting in alignment with it because you and nature are one and the same. Make sense? It's the same energy. And it brings you back to center, That's the key. So nature is going to continue to be very important. I mean, we're driving here, and I said, look at all those beautiful trees. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm looking at the beautiful trees because that's real. Everything else is artificial. This building, artificial. Structures are artificial. But the trees are alive, you see. So I'm a big advocate of that, and I do see a lot more environmental changes. Some are beneficial, absolutely. Cleaning up the oceans, quality of food is going to change. All of that stuff is all going to change in the coming years with technology as we continue to evolve. But again, because you guys are awake, we just need to pay attention to who's doing the changing. Yeah, nanotechnology, how many of you know about that? Yeah, we don't need any more of that, because that's literally tinkering with our DNA. And so that's been going on for a long time as well. So we're waking up to a lot of all of this stuff. And I'm just giving you a little bit of what I've seen coming and from the astrology. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head if there's anything else astrologically that's going to be important. Oh, by the time we reach 2040, this is when I see all religion has ceased to exist. By 2040. Because I was shown, and I knew this for many years so far, but when Pluto enters the sign of Pisces, Pisces is the sign that I believe. Right? And, Christianity, all the religions are going to start slowly fading away. And by 2040, they've officially gone, and then maybe just be small groups of people, that still hold on to those beliefs. But there'll be an understanding, more of an understanding of what it's all about, you see? So these are the changes that I see coming in 2040, by 2040. But the next few years, especially this coming year, I would say the next 2 years, are probably the most pivotal turning points. Then again, in 2027 and 28, when I said the Earth changes. And again, they may not be as destructive as I'm suggesting, and I'm not saying it's destructive, but we may see, one of the things I was shown was, if the Earth starts activating energy simultaneously, like one volcano goes off in South America, another one goes off in Europe, and another one goes off here, now we need to pay attention because it's making a giant leap forward. You understand? The energy is increasing on the Earth, and it's changing rapidly, you see? But again, I didn't see doom and gloom. I did not see people dying everywhere and all this other stuff. So that's the good side of it. But again, it's a vibrational shift, and I was shown these waves of energy coming in. And the Mayans talk about all this stuff. The Mayans literally talk about how the energy comes in the universal period. They called it universal. At the top of their pyramid, it was the universal period, where the energy would come in every 18 to 36 days. That's how quick the waves would be to come in. So they were talking about energy cycles. So it's like the cycles have sped up more. And when the cycles speed up more, our perception of time goes out the window. How many of you are doing something, all of a sudden, 5 hours has gone by, 6 hours has gone by, and you're like, what the hell? What happened here? Is my watch working? Right? I can't tell you how many times I've done that. Get up in the morning, do a few things, next thing I know, it's like dark out. I'm like, what the hell did they go? Right? And it's not even winter yet, where we have less sunlight. So time is an illusion, which also will kind of disappear. And we're going to be just kind of focused on what we need or what we enjoy doing. And the call to nature, I mean, a lot of my clients, a lot of people now are just being drawn to nature because, again, that's how we realign with ourselves and we realize what's important, So these are some of the changes that I see happening, coming real soon. It's not the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it, you know? And yes, we'll have a couple of hiccups here and there. People, how many family members, and I'm not going to get too deep into this, how many family members took all those injections, and all of a sudden, you know, there's fighting within the family or the friends, or, I mean, literally, stay away from me, stay away from me. You know, I can't tell you when that all started, and by the way, I did predict that was going to happen. There was going to be an event. I didn't say it was going to be, you know, injections or a disease. I said there's going to be an event so big that it's going to, basically, the world is going to know about it. I've had more clients say to me, my husband went and got all of those injections, and I didn't. And I'm like, oh my God. It began to snowball. Family members started fighting each other, and I don't want you around my kids. I don't want you over here. You're disowned. I mean, the first thing I said when that actually happened, I said, oh my God, look at all the fear that they're projecting. Yeah, again, that's a side note, but again, this is the way they've controlled humanity, was through fear, right? So if we don't live in fear, they can't control. And with Pluto and Aquarius, this is like, no, you're not going to tell us what to do anymore. And that's what humanity's doing. It's awakening, going, nope, you're not going to control us anymore. How many of you watch mainstream media? Exactly. You know, I go into somebody's house and they've got, let's say, CNN on or Fox or whatever the hell it is. I have to get out of the room because it's just, you know, it's just hard to sit there and listen to this nonsense. I have to do it because I'm a professional, but, and because I'm doing sort of predictive videos each month, so I do reference some of their sites and information to get my point across. But it's tough. It's like, my God, the lies and the manipulation going on here. And I'm like, I can't take this. So we're seeing us pushing away from the normal things that we are so used to, doing and seeing. So society is going to continue to push away from those so-called norms. Jobs, banking, schools, that's all coming. It's already started. And so this is what we're up against. And then you're going to see so many people that are still not awake. And this is the most frustrating part for someone like me, you know, that I see so many people still buying into the old ways of thinking of things. Oh, I'm going to go get those 6 degrees, and then I'm going to get this job, and then I'm going to have this, and I'm going to have that. And it's just like, you're not getting it. You're being programmed to believe all that, you know, and it's not happening. So you want to improve your life financially, become an entrepreneur. Create something, invent something. You know, join a group, an organization that does create things. You know, it'll be more, you know, be beneficial to you because your heart and soul is in it. Being creative is one of the most powerful things you could do. I don't care what it is. You know, art, design, paint, I don't care. The more creative you are, the more you're tapping into some sort of source, right? Some sort of source that you didn't think you had. I love starting new things. I'm like, I never knew I could do that. All right, great. And move on to something else, you see? Anyway, I don't know how long I've been up here. About that time for questions? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Believe me, folks, I could sit up here for about 3 hours. And I wouldn't even know that the time existed. So I'm just going to slow it down now and see if anybody has any questions that you want me to address. Anything you want to know about? Yes, sir. We're all here playing certain roles on this planet. What are your feelings about Elon Musk? Okay, the question is we're all here playing certain roles. What's my feeling about Elon Musk? I think he's a good guy. I personally think he's a good guy, even though I know about Neuralink and wanting to create humans and so on. But you have to understand that we already have humanoid people on this planet that don't have a soul. I don't know if you're aware of that. There are people wandering around like robots. And I've actually encountered some of these people. I could not believe the first time I saw this one being. He was like a robot. He came up to me and he was looking at me, and I'm like, this is a soulless being, robotic soulless being, because it had no empathy, no connection, anything. I think Elon Musk is getting a lot of information from extraterrestrials, and I can confirm that because how many guys know Dick Allgaier and the remote viewers and all that? He and his team have actually remote viewed Elon Musk, and they said when he is sleeping, there are beings above him that are feeding him information. You see? And he is such a smart guy, but more importantly, you know, he is actually going to help humanity. One of the visions I did see, and I did say this on video, watch Texas. See, this eclipse today is going over Texas. Okay, it's going from Texas all the way through the United States, through the Four Corners, up into, I believe, Oregon, somewhere up in there. And I posted on social media today. The second eclipse coming on April the 8th, is going the other direction, from the northeast going down into Texas. We have two eclipses going over, creating an X. I love this, an X over Texas. Who lives in Texas? Bingo. What did he just change Twitter to? Okay, but even more importantly, I saw Texas, and this vision was pretty strong. I saw Texas being the power station for the rest of the country. In physical energy, the Tesla towers, where there was wireless electricity going out, it's going to be in Texas. That's what I was shown. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that's what I was shown. And Elon Musk is going to be a part of that. So he's going to play a major role in that. And by the way, it's not just Elon Musk. It's an entire team of generals, military-industrial complex, the good guys, not the dark ones, all the analysts. There's a whole team, a network of people that are already working on this. And they have the satellites to go with it and so on. So this is the system that's going to evolve in the next few years. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Anyone? Anyone? Yes.
Energy is really crucial for the evolution of humanity. And what about free energy? Is it going to come with the ET's technology?
Okay, so the question is the evolution, is it going to come with free energy? At some point, yes, it will have to. And I think that's what I was talking about there, about the free energy. Because we already have the technology. The problem is, if you let that technology out into some psychopath's basement, you know, what's he going to do with it? We're talking about energy that could literally collapse fabrics of space and time. Create a giant black hole that'll suck all of us into. You understand? This is why it's so important not to get this free energy into the wrong hands. So at some point, we will have some form of free energy, okay? But it'll be very controlled free energy, because it has to. Because we haven't evolved, you see? So you cannot have such powerful energy and technology in the wrong hands. So at some point, we will have the free energy.
Do you think it's going to come, it's going to align with the ET presence that's going to be revealed?
She's asking, is the free energy going to align with the extraterrestrial presence? They are in control of that element because their technology is so beyond. Yes, I do think it. Now, one of the things that we need to pay attention to is, and this is something I'm looking into from a scientific standpoint, having power plants run on thorium, the element thorium, rather than plutonium. It's a much more efficient way of giving power out to the people without the waste. You know, plutonium we have to store in drums underground. How many of you are aware of that? That's when it leaks into the water systems and all that. But thorium, from what I'm gathering the information now, and maybe we'll ask your son about that, but thorium, it doesn't have that waste product. So imagine powering everything with thorium instead of plutonium. So that may be, you know, in between the free energy that we might have wirelessly, in between, you know, the changes that are occurring, you see? So I think we'll be evolving into that phase where we have free energy. At some point, you know, when you study the extraterrestrial stuff, and we talked about this last night, and I read the Mission from the Pleiades from Randolph Winters. It was very eye-opening about the Billy Meyer case. How many of you know about Billy Meyer? He claims he actually had contact, physical contact with the Pleiades, or a group from the Pleiades. And basically what they said was that as far as technology goes, give me a second here, another senior moment. It was about our evolution. If we didn't evolve, to a certain level, the technology couldn't evolve to that level either. And it's true. It's like we're the kids playing with matches because our spiritual evolution is not up to speed yet. But they said in their worlds, they basically just walk around in some sort of blissful consciousness all the time, in a physical form, if they choose to. They have 2 pieces of fruit a day, and they only sleep 1 hour a day. So, and it said that in the book, that they literally walk around just admiring the universe and, just questioning reality and dimensions and time and space. Nobody fought over anything. They had everything they ever needed. They didn't require much. 1 hour of sleep, 2 pieces of fruit. Boy, that's an easy life. And you're just walking around in some sort of understanding of who you are and the connection to everything. Will we get to that point? Probably, maybe in 100 years from now, but we are an experiment. Anyway, thank you. Yes?
Well, that's a good segue to my question about mental health. What would you suggest would be a great way to approach mental health? I'm living in 55 and older, so that in a world,
Okay. The question is about how do we deal with mental health, right? Unfortunately, there are ways of getting through to people. Now, how many of you, and I know this is kind of a silly question, but how many of you have done ayahuasca, magic mushrooms? Great. You guys got to get on board on that. But anyway, the reason I say that is because I've actually, knowing what I know, I needed to experience that. So I went to a place to do ayahuasca. It was profound. And then my one friend gave me some magic mushrooms a few years ago and said, try this and see what you see. Okay, don't go outside, just see what you see and direct the energy from the mushrooms into what you need to know. It was great advice. So I've done mushrooms twice in my life. And it was very profound. And the reason I bring that up is because there are cities now that are using magic mushrooms to help people with psychosis. Denver is one of them. I think Seattle or one of the Northwest, Oregon. Thank you, Oregon. They are using magic mushrooms to help people with psychological issues. What does the magic mushroom do? I can only tell you from my experience. I felt like a new person after that. I felt like I tapped into something that was myself because I was communicating with something which was me. And I came out of that after a couple of hours, and I said, my God, this was very profound. I just feel different. It stimulated the pineal gland. And so it brought up a lot of visions and things were going on in my life, but it gave me a different perspective on it, okay? By the way, they're not dangerous. Nobody's ever died from mushrooms. But I would say do not take a lot of them because I tried, the second time I tried a much larger dose, and it literally shot you out of your body, and you started seeing colors galore, and it was like you were in like another world. So, and there are people on YouTube that have experimented with higher doses, some of these young kids who are adventurous. And they all tell you the same thing. You're in this quantum soup realm that you have no control over. So my point being is a lot of this could be treated with natural substance. Mushrooms are natural, and it's becoming very successful. So check the research in Denver and in Oregon that they've been using them and have successfully helped people with psychological issues. See, the problem is a lot of these people in the mental institutions, they're not necessarily crazy. What's actually happening is there's so much information coming in that they can't decode it. Can you imagine walking down and you're hearing this, you're hearing that, and you got to do this, you got to. It's all coming in so fast that they can't deal with it. The vibration is so high in their head that they can't deal with it, and so they lose their sense of reality. That's what's happening to them. And sometimes it's just genetic. Sometimes it's environmental. Somebody that was a big drug user for so many years, then finally can't get off the stuff, and they snap. They literally physically trigger something chemically in their bodies that changes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Anybody else? Yes.
You touched on the
They were here. Now, this is where we get into a really interesting area because I discovered somebody on YouTube, and I'm going to mention him because if you guys want to go to another level of awareness, I mean, this guy has really done a fantastic job. How many of you have heard of Jason Brashears? Okay, he's from the Archaix channel on YouTube, ARCHAIX, and it stands for Artificial Intelligence Research of Extraterrestrial X or something like that. This guy has got such a unique story, and I have to give him a lot of credit for this. He was in prison for, I think, 29 years. He, as a kid, he did something stupid, and he admits it, you know. He kind of looks like me, too. But he's a real smart guy. And while he was in prison, he was in charge of the libraries. And so, did I repeat the question? Okay, the question was about the Nephilim. I'm sorry, what do I think about them and, you know, the background. And it leads into this. So Jason did nothing but study the ancient texts, all of them, from the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Bibles, the Torahs. When you hear him speak, you know that this man is highly intelligent because he spent 29 years in a prison reading, okay? And this wasn't YouTube. So, and he's very honest. He's very in your face. This is how it is. You could believe it or not. I don't really care. He doesn't monetize anything. But he's talked about something called the vapor canopy. Okay, so you could Google this and watch a few of his videos. I've watched maybe 30 or 40 of his videos over the last year alone. He talks about a time where the atmosphere of the Earth had so much light and pressure coming in to the ionosphere that the next generation of flowers, plants, animals, and humans grew to enormous sizes. Okay? The Nephilim fall under this umbrella, where they were somewhere between 25 and 40 feet tall. Now, if his theory is right, and he explains it, these, again, are cycles on the Earth, that we get increased energy coming in. It makes life grow. I mean, what happens to a plant if you give it enough light and water, right? It'll sprout up. Same holds true for these beings called the Nephilim. He claims, and which makes a lot of sense, that we were in a time, you know, a number of years, maybe 100, 200 years, where beings that were born at that time grew to enormous sizes. It made a lot of sense. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it makes a lot of sense. But then again, when you look at the entire universe, you know, from the smallest minute particle to a whale, do you not see the possibility of humans from other places that could exist? And we found all these bones all around the world, right? 30-foot bones. That, again, the Smithsonian, a wonderful institution, very honest, you know, has basically buried all this information. You see? So going down this rabbit hole of truth, you really got to dig. And especially now it's getting harder and harder because the AI, artificial intelligence, and the algorithms are literally blocking everything. You put in a search, boom, you get brought to CNN or one other stupid channel. And now you got to dig deeper. So you got to rely on people like Jason Brashears or David Icke or people that have written for years about the past.
Do you think that there's a possibility that they lived alongside the dinosaurs?
The question is do I think that the Nephilim lived alongside the dinosaurs? It's possible, but from what I've read about the Nephilim, they weren't nice people. They were literally eating humans. They were big, grotesque beings, stunk, and all they did was eat and destroy. Maybe because they grew so big and, you know, lost their marbles. I don't know. But our true history has been kept from us. And so this is part of the discovery and the realization that's coming out. And so Jason, in my opinion, Jason Brashears presents some of the most compelling information. I mean, there are others, Billy Carson, and, you know, they're doing their best. But when you hear him talk, and I'll get to your question in a second, sir, especially about the timelines, he's basically saying that, you know, because the calendars have been so manipulated over time, the way they kept track of time were called SHARs, S-H-A-R, and you might want to watch that video, correcting the SHAR timelines. And he shows you that these things didn't happen 450,000 years ago. They happened a lot closer because a shar represented a day. And so 450,000 divided by 360 days or 365 days only comes out to about 5,000 or 6,000 years. So imagine now, you know, these races that were here only 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, not 450,000 years. And again, he shows you the evidence, and it makes a lot of sense. So I can't discount it. So again, we've been lied to on every level. Yes, sir.
Yeah, going back to healthcare, what's your take on med beds, celestial beds, that kind of stuff?
All right, the question is what do I think about med beds and medical care and all of that? It's already started. The med beds already out there. We have real med beds. And by the way, this has been going on for at least another 75 to 100 years. I remember the Rife machine and all of that. That was healing all kinds of diseases. And then, you know, all of a sudden he gets defunded and he's gone. So we've had a variation of med beds. The med beds will be there. They will be real. They will, be implemented for sure. But again, it is our consciousness more than anything else that has to evolve. We could have all the technology in the world. What's the difference if we're still going to be doing the same stupid things to ourselves? Right? Going out and doing drugs or, you know, whatever we do to our bodies to destroy it. And then we go into the med bed. What sense is that? So the med beds are here. We already have the technology. We already, the so-called elite already have technology to preserve them. Live 150 years, 200 years. And that's not uncommon, by the way, because when you study some of these ancient texts, you realize somebody has tinkered with our DNA. They took the DNA strands, and I believe it's number 2 or number 3, and they fused them together, which stopped our growth. Otherwise, we'd be super psychics. We'd be, more evolved, and we'd live a lot longer. Because when you understand that we could live as long as we want, but somebody has been tinkering around. So we have the technology. Yes, anything to do with technology. By the way, Aquarius is associated with technology as well. So in the next 20 years, because that's how long that cycle is going to last, we will see new technology in every area of society, including the medical. Okay? So it's just a matter of time. Okay? Any other questions? Oh, now we have a whole bunch of them. Nice. I'm just going to go this way, okay? Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
What are some skills and abilities you think we're generating or coming into as our ability to be more conscious and psychic? And case in point, I know with Hurricane Hillary, the intention was to bring it into Southern California as like a Category 5.
Right.
And enough people focused on it, they took it down to being a tropical storm. So it's using intention and consciousness to shift things. What do you see our abilities?
Okay, so the question is what kind of abilities do we see in the near future to influence weather patterns or influence things in society? Huge. Remember, the biggest thing that these psychopaths that run the planet are afraid of is humanity coming together. Right? Why? Because the more of us that have the energy together, the more effective we are, the more we create. You ever go to a rock concert? Huh? All these people screaming and yelling? What are they doing? They're creating a high vibration in that stadium, right? Now imagine if they were pushing that energy into something beneficial rather than getting stoned and listening to, loud music. And I'm all for that. That's wonderful. But imagine if we had that energy and that intention collectively to influence hurricanes and so on. And yes, we can influence them with enough people, but we're going to have to learn how to do that stuff. And so what I've discovered is you want to change anything, you see the outcome already. Like it's already happened, and you know it's going to happen. And you don't focus on it anymore. The key is to let go. In other words, detach from the outcome. Detach from what it is that you want. The problem is trying to get enough people together to meditate or prayer, something, to envision it actually going. The problem is I'm just going to use Christianity here. If this group was very Christian, we'd all go, oh, baby Jesus, please, please get me this. Please, please move this hurricane over and so on. Will it work? No, probably not. Why? Because you're taking your own power and you're directing it to something else or someone else. You see what I'm talking about? That's not how you manifest. You manifest by aligning your own energy, centering yourself, and collectively, everyone doing the same thing, envisioning that hurricane moving away. And it's already happened. It's gone. And then you're raising your vibration. You're getting the goosebumps. You're already seeing it happen. And you go, so it is, and shall be. You see? So consciousness is going to be raised on many levels. But we have to do it either collectively, or the more divided we stay, the worse it becomes, the longer it takes to manifest things. I mean, if you ask the average person on the street, what would you manifest if you had the power? What do you think the first answer is going to be? Money, right. Money is an illusion. It's not even backed by anything. It's nothing. It's worthless paper. But it's the energy that they think will give them greater joy or happiness or more fulfillment and buy more shit, pardon my French. Right? Does that bring happiness? No, it just gives you a comfortable life. Sure. But it's the first thing that they would say. So, I mean, it depends on who you ask. But the consciousness has to be raised simultaneously to everyone because we're all part of the source. We all are the source. I tell people, we're all freaking gods because our DNA is made up of the source. So start understanding who you really are, and then you'll begin to change and influence environments, societies. And yes, you can manipulate people. Yes, there are people that do that. I know. Yes, exactly. But then again, this is how they've been manipulating society, through subliminal messaging, movies, all kinds of stuff. So it's been happening. So to answer your question, collectively, the more groups like this continue to evolve and understand we are loving beings, we're spirits, we're having here experiences, what do we want to collectively create? What do we collectively want to influence? And it always has to be for the higher good. I mean, you could do it, the dark stuff, but then you're going to bring upon yourself all of that other stuff that comes with it. You see, the universe is constantly balancing equations. Think about this for a second, okay? Look at all the polarities that we have in this world. Positive, negative, boy, girl, black, white, as above, so below. The universe is always trying to balance equations. So even if you create this great reality, it's still going to try and balance the equation. You see? It'll bring in something like, oh, that's pretty shitty. All right, but we'll work with it. But if you go the opposite direction, all right, let's kill everybody. That's not going to work. The universe is going to stop that, or the source is going to stop that from happening. So anyway, does that answer your question? Okay, great. Next. Let's go over here. Yes?
What do you do about anger?
You control it. The question is, what do you do about anger? The question is who has control over your body? Okay, so who gets to control the anger? Yeah, listen, I love that one because, listen, I get upset too, but I make a joke out of it. When I get upset about something, I'm like, really? Really? You freaking got to be kidding me. And then I let it go because I know it has to happen. Everything has to experience itself. Some days we have anger, some days we have happiness, some days it's just the neutral zone. But you are the one that controls that suit.
Okay, so I'm at work, things are great, and then this incident happens over here, and then I'm saying, this has got to stop, and then I get angry.
Okay. But yes, exactly. So the question is she's at work and she had an incident happen over there, and then all of a sudden she gets angry, and then she says to herself, this has got to stop. And then it stops. Guess what you just did? You controlled the anger, did you not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But you're being a part of it because right away it's affected you. So number one, it's getting into your energy, okay? So now you have a choice. You could participate in the anger, which sometimes is needed because you're affecting somebody else. You understand? Or you do the higher thing. You rise above it and you go, this has to happen, but I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to partake in it. You chose to say, this has to stop, which it went your way, or it worked out for you, and which is great. But what I'm saying is realize when this stuff is happening. Understand? Realize it when it's happening at that moment and do something about it. You could let it affect you, or you could stop it, or you could ignore it, or you could do whatever you want. Again, it's all about choices and experiences. Everything is a choice and an experience. That's how it works. Now, the vibrations of the universe and the planets and all this other stuff is what causes these chain reactions to occur. Because remember, the energy is going through our bodies. It's coming down the crown chakra, down the spine, which has all the nerve endings, going back and forth, right? Out through our feet. So we're heavily being influenced by the cycles and the patterns and the planets and all this other stuff. Science just hasn't caught up to it. But this is the energy conflicting within the body, you see? So in order to experience everything on this planet, we have to experience the crappiest stuff to the most euphoric stuff simultaneously. So we know what that feels like in this physical suit. Make sense? Did you have a question? Was it you? Who's the... Okay, go ahead. Virgo. Okay.
So it's not so much for me, but say for like my children, financially, like where do you steer them? You said, so that they know.
Okay, so the question is she's concerned about financial and education, and she's a Virgo. So, I'm kidding. Yes, it does. If you understand Virgos are the analysts. Any other Virgos here? Virgos analyze everything. They love the small, minute details, and unfortunately, they do worry a lot because you're associated with the nervous system. So they always worry. We don't know how it's going to shake out. We don't know, even with the visions and so on, is how the new systems are going to be implemented. Is it going to be free everything? Is it we're going to go to a bank and just trade in these fake, phony dollars for real currency? We don't know. And so it's just a matter of timing of how these new systems are going to evolve. It's going to start with the politics and the politicians and the powers. They have to be removed. That's the first thing. And that's been happening in the financial sector, the banking and all that stuff. A lot of these banks, these big banks, have been retrained in so-called quantum financial system. So there's a new system that's coming into play, and it's probably going to be all on the back end side, how we process information. We could literally process a credit card in about 1/10 of a second. How many of you know that? In about 1/10 of a second. One button, boom, that system's processed. My concern is, are we still going to have the middlemen? Are we going to directly interact with each other? Because that's what cryptocurrency has done, is given us the ability to exchange value with each other. When you do that, you have a greater respect for other people, because money is nothing but a representation of value for you and me, right? You make a product, you have a service, I give you this, you go out and do this. It's a value exchange system. That's all it is. So the new value exchange system will have to be one where everyone is equal, in terms of value, and we'll have to see how it unfolds. We don't know. Again, this is all new territory to all of us. There were no other civilizations that had high-tech electronic, currencies. They used to use gold and silver and other means, right? This is barter, right? Exactly, barter and skills. So we're in uncharted waters, essentially. We don't know how it's going to play itself out. So all you could do is my suggestion is protect your assets, what you have, that's real and that you could use, and see how it unfolds and keep your eyes wide open on all these systems. As far as the kids go, they're probably highly intelligent and they will adapt. I mean, some of these kids now that are coming in, you could just look at them and go, they're so freaking smart. It's like they're bored being here, And so they'll adapt. Because they're young, they're able to adapt to new systems and new ways of doing things. I mean, a lot of schools during the whole pandemic, and I do call it a pandemic, basically, we did online schooling and all of that. But I have a problem with schooling in general because what you're basically doing is, and we do need education, math, basic stuff. I totally get that. But we are training these kids to follow orders. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, next class. Ding, ding, ding. Listen to authority. You see what I'm saying? So that has to change as well. But because of the internet, being able to access information, we'll be able to do that. But it's really up to the parents. You guys are the ones that have to guide those beings into a higher understanding of themselves and what they want out of life. Does that help? Okay. Who had another question? Yes. All right. Okay. The question is do I see a timeline on the educational system or the learning curve of society? And our role in it, and our mission, our role in it. Okay. Schools as we know it are dying. Colleges and so on, all that stuff is dying because the information and the brainwashing that's going on there is off the charts. Okay? They're not putting these kids in there to go out into the world and earn a living. They're just regurgitating all kinds of stuff that doesn't make any sense anymore to society that's coming in. So our role, like I said to her, is the parents and the people involved directly are the ones that are going to have to basically have a larger role in what kind of education do we want to have for the kids. Now, I remember watching a bunch of videos from schools in India, okay? And there were spiritual schools. They taught reading and writing and arithmetic and all that stuff, but they were spiritual schools. They were teaching the kids at a young age what spirit was, how the energy works in the body. Who are we? To respect all life. You think that kid is going to grow up a little different than the average one that comes out of a school here? Do you see what I'm saying? It depends on the type of education. Now, Pluto and Aquarius, which we're coming into the next 20 years, is all about knowledge, is all about information. What kind of information do we want? A lot of people are going to embrace the technology. All these young kids and teenagers glued to their phones, right? Everything is the phone. Are they going to learn anything about spirituality or mysticism or anything about who we really are? No, they'll wait until later on in life when they're questioning who they really are, right? We all got there. Like, who the hell am I really? And they'll begin to question that. But if they see a society or a group of people that are so happy and awake and aware, they're going to begin to question their own existence, you see? So in terms of the education, since the old systems are dying, and by the way, most of these educational systems were funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, right? Medicine, schooling, and we know how great and benevolent they are. Man, are they wonderful people, right? So we know we have been spoon-fed stuff that, to keep us good little worker bees. These new generations, it's not about that. It's about how can I make a difference? How can I be creative? How can I contribute to humanity? And that's the problem right now, by the way. A lot of these younger kids don't know what their role is anymore. They're stuck between worlds. They see this crazy, world on one hand, and then they see, what the hell's my role in this craziness? Because they don't have any idea of who they are. And this gets me to I think we talked about this, the LGBTQ, TRS community. They don't know who they are. These are souls that come in that don't have an identity. And maybe they don't need one. They're like the butterfly energy or the fairy energy. Just, yeah, whatever. And that's okay too. But they don't know who they are. And they're going to these educational places, and they're bringing that out more. Oh, you're gender 57. Okay, great. You're gender 73. I mean, it's just, it's confusion. They're confusing them even more, but they have to figure it out for themselves, so to each his own, right? But education will not be traditional anymore. It can't, because then we're just buying into the whole Rockefeller nonsense, right? Anyway, another question over here? Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay.
But I'm curious about, how do we choose neutrality and witnessing more often so that astrological events are not playing on us so deeply, so that our physical symptoms are not so overpowering and strong as our awareness and sensitivities are growing and growing and growing?
Okay, so the question is how do we choose the neutrality within ourselves when we are hit with these harder astrological aspects and, choices that we have to make before us? It's to go within. To go within. All the ancient cultures, especially the ones from India, they are some of the wisest beings on this planet. Okay, the gurus, the yogis, and all that. Because all they do is spend hours and months in caves meditating within themselves, right? A lot of knowledge there. So when you go within, whatever happens, you only have control of this suit, right? You. So the more you could center yourself, remember, the universe is always trying to balance equations. It's about centering yourself. So you go within and you realize who you are. This is what I've done. So I'm passing this along to you. Every time I've had a chaotic situation or things weren't going my way, I'd smile and laugh about it because I thought it was funny and like, oh, great, this is going to be a great experience. But then I would center myself and realizing this is just another experience. This is something I have to deal with, and I'll deal with it. And it'll work itself out. In other words, you turn it around to the point where you go, one way or another, it'll work itself out. I'm not going to feed into it. So you become more of a neutral mindset. At the same time, the answers will come to you. The feeling will come to you. You'll know what to do, you see, to deal with it. So the cycles, when they do hit, sometimes they're a couple of days long because of the moon cycle. It'll be like 2 days of chaos. And then all of a sudden it goes away. Because remember, everything is still spinning. The Earth is constantly moving. The planets are constantly moving. So we have an opportunity every couple of days to change those experiences. The key is to stay balanced. Because you could go off the deep end. And when good things happen too, enjoy that too. Go, wow, what a ride. I'm going to keep going. And whenever this ride ends, great. I'll go on to something else. You see, it's about centering yourself and realizing you are part of this experience, and all I can do is control how I want to interact with this experience. Make sense? Yes, the person behind you. Yes.
I mean, that seems to be the growing thing. I mean, women are all working on themselves. I heard majority men in my day.
Okay. Good question. It's a good question. The question, MIA, I like that. The question is look at how many women are in this room, and why is it that mostly the women are more aware or awake or understand the spirituality, and there aren't as many men? Testosterone. Testosterone is the need to go and do things on a physical level. Okay? Men purely are protectors and are about experiencing and challenging and doing the physical side of life. Hold on one second. We haven't... All right, it's going away. We have... And women, on the other hand, because they are a stronger connection to the source. Remember, a woman's body is made to produce another life. So what does the universe do? It creates planets and lives and create. It's a creator. So the woman is always going to be more sensitive and more in tune with consciousness, with the source. She's creating another source. The men, on the other hand, that's not their role because of testosterone. They're there to protect. They're there to do the physical side of life. And so a lot of men will look at this stuff and go, that's sissy stuff. That's for, weirdos and stuff like that. I mean, the average person. I'm not saying, the average person will look at that. But they will get to a point in their lives as well, we all men do, to question who they really are. And that's the beginning of it. Once you begin to question, who am I really? When you look in front of that mirror, who am I really? Am I this suit? Is this what reality really means to me? And then they start going down the rabbit hole, and then the universe starts to bring them answers. You see? So it's always going to be the woman or the female energy that's always going to be more in tune with the source because they are a stronger energy of the source. Men are not, even though we are, physically, the DNA and all that stuff. But it's, again, about a balance. There are, millions of men that get it, understand it. And they approach it from a physics side. Okay, the left brain. Oh, quantum physics says this, and so on and so on. And then they'll embrace that. And that'll give them an understanding as well. But it's not like intuition. It's not like a knowing. It's not like an understanding of your soul, the energy that's in this physical suit. So we have to be careful, like I said, of embracing too much technology and not enough compassion and understanding and, the spiritual side of life and what gives meaning. What gives meaning in our lives here is the emotions and the heartfelt connections. That's it. So the more, I think that will change, but it'll take a little time because we do see a lot of the younger men, unfortunately, their physical bodies have been changed because of the food changes and all this other stuff and the brainwashing that's going on. But it'll eventually change to where there's just an understanding, So it depends. Again, we have a choice. What kind of understanding? Do we want feminized men? I don't think women like that, don't like feminized men, so it has to be a balance. So does that answer your question? Yes. Okay, the question is how do I feel about Dolores Cannon's work on The Earth is Ascending? I love Dolores Cannon's work. She was so ahead of her time. And what she's talking about ascending is a vibration. The Earth is vibrating higher. Frequencies are going up. This is a symbolic of the energy increasing. But the Earth is going through our own birthing process, as I explained earlier, with the volcanoes and all this weather, strange habits that are... There's more energy coming into the ionosphere, you see? So it is literally pushing the Earth to change on some level magnetically. Does that make sense? No. Well, the 3D and the 5D, this is the 3D right now. But if we all sat down here and closed our eyes for about an hour or so and envisioned a 5D world, we would see a 5D world, you see? So eventually we will get to that place where, like I said with the Palladian story, we all walk around just... I think I'll have an apple today, So, that's the 5D world. You see, the level of awareness is so high that it's not worried about the car or that or this, you see? And the Earth will match that frequency that we've come to.
So nobody's left behind?
No, nobody should be left behind, no. But again, this is a giant experiment. This planet is an experiment. We are mixed hybrids from different races. That's what the evidence shows. And we're here to experience everything, from the crappiest to the most euphoric, you see? So we are we're going through some sort of massive change. So those people at the very low may not be able to sustain it because they're not meant to, and they'll check out. But their soul will go on to something else, Okay, any other questions? Yes? No, that's you? Yeah. I think you started the questioning. I think we'll end it there, okay?
So, you told us about the importance of Pluto coming to Aquarius for the next 20 years.
Right.
Do you have maybe some few important planetary influence for next year or the next 2 or 3 years? That would be
Well, the question is, you know, I talked about Pluto going into Aquarius for the next 20 years, and she's asking if the next few years, what kind of planetary influence will we have? I do the astrology every year. Okay, I do a general overview of where the planets are and what's going on. All astrologers do this. And I do the horoscopes for each sign. So you might want to sign up for my newsletter. It's totally free. Or sign up for YouTube. Totally free. And I put it out there for free. These next few years, Pluto is going to lead the charge. And then we look to Jupiter. Jupiter right now is in Taurus, the sign of the earth, the sign of money, the sign of values. Next year, that will change into Gemini. So all you Geminis out there are in for a nice little ride. But Gemini, Jupiter is the biggest planet, so it's going to heavily influence society in a new way. Gemini is about communication. So in the next couple of years, beginning in May of next year, things having to do with communication will escalate. We may have new phones that are on the quantum system or new technology associated with Starlink and, you know, stuff like that. The need to communicate with each other is going to increase dramatically in the next year or two, okay? Wanting to understand, because Gemini is a very curious sign. And that's where it all begins, the curiosity. So imagine us all collectively wanting to know more about spirituality or mysticism or how the universe works. You see, this will all continue to increase. So these are some of the biggest factors, because both Aquarius and Gemini are air signs, which means thinking, communication. So I'd say in the next couple of years, there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of need to exchange information. There's new technology coming out. All of this stuff is going to influence us, you see? So this is primarily what I see. And it's up to us to see how it unfolds, where it goes. You know, there won't be anything that you could hide anymore. Just like when Pluto went through Capricorn, we know who the Rockefellers are. We know who the Rothschilds are. We know who the Vatican is. These are all being exposed. The same with Pluto in Aquarius. It will expose things in humanity and technology, and anything that we need to see will be brought to the surface in the next 20 years. But it begins usually at the beginning of that sign. So we'll begin to see it. From now until 2026, it's almost like time is accelerating. Information will just start coming out. Oh my God, wow, that's incredible. Wow. And then we'll start moving faster. And so we'll have to slow down a little bit in order to take it all in. So I see humanity increasing in, you know, speed or awareness. I see technological issues. They're going to be major. Communication, satellites, new systems, the monetary system, and most importantly, the new power structures that are being implemented right now. Like I said earlier, I don't think Trump is going to stay as president. I think they're going to set up some sort of organization that oversees everything, and there won't be any more Democrat, Republican nonsense. Okay, because that's all the divide. You see? So that's what I see coming in terms of communication, and that'll be important because everybody will be questioning everything. Money, political power, you know, new ways of doing things, all right? Anyway, I think I'm gonna stop now. Stop while I'm ahead. All right, thank you, folks. If you wanna know more, I have two websites, planetswithin.com and josephpanthony.com, and you'll see all the social media links up there. I put a newsletter out each month. I do free horoscope videos every month, and I do a lot of videos generally about what's going on. So you might want to sign up. It's all free. There's no obligation. You could stop anytime you want. All right? Thank you so much, folks. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for attending, and we're grateful that he could join us today and be with us. Thank you so much for your extra time today and answering all of our questions. There is one more person to thank. Dee, please stand up. She brought Anthony, Mr. Anthony, to us. Please. No, please let us, one more round of applause, if I may. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you all for coming.